Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to learn a new topic that is joint products and byproducts. What exactly is joint products and byproducts? This is nothing but an extension of what we have learnt in our process costing. Now process costing में क्या होता था? There used to be a process. In that process we used to have one input, that means हम लोग कुछ raw material उसमें डालते थे and we used to get our output which goes to our next process, correct? Now here the output till now whatever we have learnt in our process costing is that this output was only one product, right? अभी तक जो भी हमने देखा है वो ये देखा है कि there used to be one unit as my output, one product as my output. Under joint process, what is happening? Instead of one product as my output, from the same process, I am getting more than one output. That is nothing but my joint products. Let me explain it to you with the help of a diagram. Let us say that this is the process. Now, this is a process. I will call it as joint process. इसको हम लोग joint process बोलते हैं. Now, what do I do in this joint process? There is some material. Then to convert, I have some labor cost and I have certain overheads. All these expenses I have incurred in the joint process, that is this process. At the end of the process, what do I need? I need an output, right? Now this output, I will get more than one products, that is output 1, or I can say product 1, product 2, product 3 and product 4. So what is happening? With a single process I am getting more than one units as my output. These products which come out as an outcome of a single process are known as joint products. So these are my joint products. So now what is joint products? Joint products are two or more products being the outcome of a single process. उसको हम कहते हैं joint products. Now, one more very interesting fact that we should know about joint products is that joint products are of kind of similar value. That means if product A, product 1 has a value of, let us say, rupees 30 in the market, similarly product B will have more or less equivalent value. So I can say 25 per unit. Product C, rupees maybe 15 per unit, and this may be rupees 40 per unit. What is happening? They are more or less of similar value. That is why these are known as joint products. Now, when we have learnt about joint products, the next part to it is byproducts. What do we mean by byproducts? Byproducts are again the outcome of the same process, but what is the problem with byproducts? Byproducts are incidental products of the process. That means we were not trying to produce the byproducts, but because of the process and because it is incidental to the process, that byproduct is also one of the outcome. So let us say there is one more. I will just make this like this. And okay, so let us say there is one more product called product 5. Now this is my byproduct. Ma'am, how can you say that this is my byproduct? There are two reasons for calling product 5 as the byproduct. First thing, it is incidental to this process. That means when I started the production, when I started the process, it was not there in my mind that I am going to make product 5. I wanted to do this process to get product 1, 2, 3, 4. This product 5 is incidental. I did not wish to get product 5, but product 5 will come out as an outcome of the same process. दैट मीन्स हम जो ये जो मेहनत करते हैं इतनी, वो हम प्रोडक्ट 5 लेने के लिए, मेरे मन में नहीं है कि मुझे प्रोडक्ट 5 भी प्रोड्यूस करना है, वो अपने आप हो जाता है. दैट इज वाई इट इज़ अ बाई प्रोडक्ट. सेकेंड रीज़न, द वैल्यू ऑफ बाई प्रोडक्ट is comparatively lower, very low than the other products. That is why, see, I have written here, I have assumed it as rupees 3 per unit. This is my byproduct. Let me give you an example of byproduct. Now let us say I want to make jaggery. For jaggery, what do I need to process? I need to process sugarcane. I processed sugarcane, and with that I got my jaggery. Now in the process of processing the sugarcane and in the process of getting jaggery, there is one more outcome, that is molasses. These molasses also have a ready market. These can be sold in the market, but are you processing the sugarcane to get molasses? No. You are processing the sugarcane to get jaggery. This is incidental to the process. That is why this is my byproduct. Also, the value of molasses is much lower than the value of jaggery. That is why molasses are known as the byproducts. Similarly, when we are processing the rice, when we are polishing the rice, so the process name is rice polishing. When we are polishing the rice, we not only get the rice, but we also get husk. This husk is also, there's a ready market for this husk in the, there's a ready market for the husk. But are we polishing the rice to get the husk? No. We are polishing the rice to get the white rice, right? So this is our main product and this is the byproduct. And obviously the value of husk is way lower than the value of rice. Now, so with this I will define byproducts as, byproducts are the products which are manufactured as incidental to the joint process. We do not wish to manufacture this. We have not done this whole process to get product 5, but this is incidental to the process. We will get this as our outcome. So these 4 are our joint products and this is our byproduct. Now for the time being, let us just leave byproducts aside and understand joint process first. Now we have got, okay, what can be the example of joint process? The best example for joint process is the crude oil. Now, when you extract crude oil, at the end of, after extracting, you process it, and after processing, from the crude oil you get petrol, you get diesel, you get kerosene, as well as natural gas. So from one process of processing the crude oil, you get 4 products, that is petrol, diesel, kerosene and natural gas. So this is the one of the most famous example for our joint products. Now, let us go ahead now. Let us understand what exactly is, how do we deal with joint products, or why do we need to understand this chapter? What is the requirement to study this chapter? Now, let us talk about these products. Okay, these products can be sold in the market at rupees 30, 25, 15 and 40. This is the example which I took. This point where they get separated is known as the split off point. This point is known as the split off point. The point, the end of the process where these products get separated are known as the split off point. Now they may be in their raw form and they might need to be processed further. So we are going to have something called as further processing. Now, as I told you, all these products require further, or let us say these three products require further processing. They can be sold in the market in this raw form, but if I further process it, I would get a better price. So let us say after further processing, I can sell it for rupees 100 per unit, this for rupees 80 per unit, and this for rupees 50 per unit. Now, after further processing, I can sell per unit at a higher price. This process is known as further processing. Now, further processing of each of these units is separate. These are not together, they have their own further processing processes. Now, once these products are further processed, obviously there will be some cost incurred for the further processing also. Let us take that the further processing cost for this is 50,000, for this is rupees 30,000, and for this is rupees 20,000. And product A, when I did the joint process, the cost was rupees 1 lakh, and with that 1 lakh rupees I could make 50,000 units of product 1, 30,000 units of product 2, 15,000 units of product 3 and 5,000 units of product 4. This was my output. Okay, and the further processing cost for these three units, product A, product B and product C, is given. Why didn't I write for product 4? Product 4, we are assuming that it is finished at the split off point stage only. It doesn't require further processing at all. It is already in its best form. Now, there is a further processing cost of 50,000 which product 1 will bear, no problem. There is a further processing cost of 30,000. This further processing cost is for product 2, so product 2 will bear it. 20,000 for product 3, so product 3 will bear it. But the question is, who will bear this 1 lakh rupees? Who is going to bear this 1 lakh rupees is the question. This 1 lakh rupees we have incurred to get all the 4 products. So obviously all the four products will have to bear this cost. Now in this chapter we are going to learn on what basis are we going to distribute this cost. So I'm going to teach you 5 methods for apportionment of joint cost. Now these methods are very simple and very scoring. This whole chapter is very scoring. Now the first method is our physical output method. Now this is a very simple method. Let me explain it to you with the help of this example only. I am going to prepare a table for particulars, then product A or product 1, product 2, product 3 and product 4, and I'm going to have one total column. This is my statement for joint cost apportionment. Now we are going to apportion the joint cost among all these products. The first method, on the basis of physical output. Yes. So now this is the simplest method. What is it? On the basis of the number of units that we have manufactured, on that, in that ratio we are going to apportion our joint cost. So what is our output? Our output for product A is 50,000 units, for product 2 is 30,000, for product 3 it is 15,000, and for product 4 it is 5,000. A total of 1 lakh. So joint cost apportionment on the basis of output would be 1 lakh into 50,000 divided by the total units. So this is our joint cost apportionment, right? So this is how we apportion the joint cost on the basis of physical output. The second method, average cost method. Now this method is more or less similar to your physical output method. How? Here under average cost method we are going to calculate one average cost for all the units. Similar method, only in the above method under physical output method, what we are going to do, we are taking the ratio for distribution. Here we first divide it by the total units, so we get a per unit rate, and then we multiply it with the number of units. It is very similar to our first method only. So now the second method, that is on the basis of average cost method. So on the basis of average cost method, first we are going to calculate a average cost. What is average cost? Average cost will be equal to total joint cost divided by total output. So that is equal to 1 lakh of my joint cost divided by 1 lakh units. So that is equal to rupees 1 per unit. Now this average cost I am going to multiply with the output. So joint cost apportionment would be 1 lakh, sorry, we have already got the rate. So number of units into the average cost per unit, that is 1 rupee. So 50, 30, so we have got a total of 1 lakh rupees. This is on the basis of average cost method. See, I told you it is very similar to our first method. Coming to the third method, that is the net contribution method. Now we all know what is the meaning of contribution. Contribution, we have learnt in marginal costing, is nothing but your selling price minus your variable cost. Similarly, we are going to calculate the contribution for each of those units. Let us say we already know the selling price, that is we are going to take the final selling price here, 100, 80, 50, and here since it is not further process, the final selling price is rupees 40. Let us say the variable cost in further processing is rupees 5 or maybe rupees 20 per unit. Here rupees 15 per unit. Here rupees 10 per unit, and there is no further processing for product 4. Whereas the variable cost in joint process is rupees 2 per unit. Now this, or maybe rupees 5 per unit, let us take it as 5 per unit. Now this variable cost in joint process will be same for everyone, right? It is why? Because it is a per unit cost. So we are going to have this. This is in the joint process, so always also product 4 will have to bear this cost. So what is our net contribution per unit in that case? On the basis of net contribution method. So our selling price per unit is 100, 80, 50 and 40 less variable cost, total variable cost. Now total variable cost would be 20 plus 5, 25. Here 15 plus 5, 20. Here 10 plus 5, 15. And here 5 rupees. So what we get is the contribution per unit. That is equal to 100 minus 25, 75, 60, 35 and 35. Now we are going to calculate the total contribution here. How will we get the total contribution? Contribution per unit into our output. So contribution per unit into our output of 50,000. That is 37 lakh 50,000, 1 lakh 80, 5 lakh 20 and 1 lakh 75. Now that we have got our contribution here, we are going to distribute our cost on this basis, our joint cost. So joint cost apportionment would be rupees 1 lakh into this divided by this. Yes, that would be 60,000, 28,800, 8,400 and 2,800, giving us a total of 1 lakh. So this is our joint cost apportionment on the basis of net contribution method. Now there might be one question which is coming to your mind. The question is, ma'am, did we distribute a part of the joint cost already here? That means if this joint cost has two parts, let us say, okay, first things, this is a superficial figure. You might get confused that we have taken rupees 5, that would be, or let us take this for better solution, let us take this as rupees 10 lakhs. This cost as rupees 10 lakhs. So I am dividing all this by 10 lakhs, giving us a total of 10 lakhs. This also, our rate increases to rupees 10. So this would be into 10. Similarly, this also I am increasing it to 10 lakhs. So this is our distribution. Now the question which might come to your mind is, ma'am, haven't you distributed the variable portion of this 10 lakh already among these? No. I have just taken the variable cost to calculate my net contribution so that I can get a basis for distribution. I have not distributed that 5 rupees anywhere. I have just taken the help of that 5 rupees to get my net contribution or my total contribution. I have not distributed that 5 rupees. My total cost is 10 lakh, which includes variable cost also, and it is distributed on the basis of net contribution method. It is very simple. Please don't minus your variable cost from 10 lakhs and then divide the cost. You just calculate the net contribution, and with the help of net contribution you divide the total joint cost. This is a major problem which people face when you do a solution under net contribution method. Now going to the fourth method, that is my survey method. This method is very simple, or this is generally a theoretical method that we are going to have, or under which we distribute our joint cost. Now there are various experts sitting, they have various statistical tools, plus they have seen the past trends of the company, and on these all basis they decide the percentage or the ratio in which the joint cost will be apportioned. So this method is a theoretical method, and in case when we cannot use this method in the problems. In case the question wants to use this method, they will already give you a ratio, and on that basis of on the ratio given, you will have to simply distribute your cost. Coming to the fifth method, the last method and the most important method, that is the market value method. This method is again divided into three parts. So the first part is on the basis of sale value at split off point. Now first is you are going to distribute the cost on the basis of sale value at split off point. So let me write here on the basis of sale value at split off point. Now let us understand this. Now this is again a very easy method. We just have to calculate the total sales value at the split off point. Now which is the split off point? This is the split off point. At this split off point, what is our selling price? 30, 25, 15 and 40. Can we calculate the total sales? Yes, we can. If we multiply it with the number of units, we can. So I am going to write selling price per unit at split off point, that is equal to 30, 25, 15 and 40. 30, 25, 15 and 40. Just rechecking. Oh, I did something wrong. Yeah, 40. Okay. Yes, 40, 15, 25 and 30. Now, so what would be our total sales at split off? It would be selling price per unit into the total units, right? So here that would be 30 rupees into the number of units, that is 50,000. Similarly for others as well, and we get a total sales of 26,75,000. Now joint cost apportionment will be on this basis. So 10 lakhs into 15 lakhs divided by 26,75,000. Similarly for others as well. So we get a total of 10 lakhs. So the distribution is on the basis of sale value at split off point. Okay, let's go ahead. The next method is our final sale value. Now what is our final sale value here? The final sale value is 100, 80, 50 and 40. So on this basis we are going to distribute our further processing or joint cost. So on the basis of final sale value. What is the final selling price per unit? The final selling price per unit is 180, 50, 40. 180, 50 and 40. So what would be the total sales, that is after further processing? That would be 100 into the number of units, that is 50,000. If I do this, it would be 83 lakh 50,000. On this basis we are going to apportion our joint cost. So that would be 10 lakhs into 50 lakhs divided by 83 lakh 50,000. Lakhs, right? So this is on the basis of our final sale value. The next and the last method, and I would say the most important method, that is net realizable value method. Now under this method what we do is we have a final selling price. That final selling price we are going to reduce with the further processing cost, or we are going to first reduce our profit margin from this. Then once we remove the profit from our final selling price, what do we get? We get the total cost. Total cost, out of that total cost we are going to remove the selling and distribution expenses. So what do we have? We have just got our cost of goods sold, right? If you remove from the total cost, if you remove the selling and distribution overheads, remember your cost sheet, what do you get? You get your cost of goods sold. From that I am removing the further processing cost also. If I remove the further processing cost, I will get what is the realizable value, or what am I going to realize per unit for my joint cost, correct? That is known as net realizable value method. If I remove everything, see again I am explaining, I have the final selling price. From the selling price if I remove profit, what am I left with? I am left with the total cost. Total cost मतलब सब कुछ, the total cost को हम क्या बोलते हैं? Cost of sales. From the cost of sales, if I remove selling and distribution, what do I have? Cost of goods sold. Now cost of goods sold, in this we have two components, joint cost and our further processing cost. If I remove the further processing cost also, I am just left with the portion which I have left with me or realized from each unit towards my joint cost. So that is the realization value or the realizable value for my joint cost. So let us see how this method works. On the basis of net realizable value. Now for this we have to do some additions to the cost. The addition that I am doing is, let us assume that the profit margin is 20% on each unit, okay, and selling and distribution expenses is equal to rupees 2 per unit, okay. Now let us go ahead. Now you will say, ma'am, if this information is not given, in the question, leave it. Assume there is no profit, assume there is no selling and distribution. Now, so we are going to start with our final selling price per unit, that is equal to 100, 80, 50 and 40 less profit at 20% of sales. So that would be this into 20%, that is 20, 16, 10 and 8, less selling and distribution expense, that is rupees 2 per unit. So 2 and 2. What after this, what do I get is my total cost of goods sold, right? Now, why did I take cost of goods sold? Why didn't I minus the further processing? Because further processing cost, I have a lump sum figure. I don't have a per unit. Why do I need to convert it into a per unit? There's no requirement. I'm just going to calculate the per unit cost and I'm going to multiply it with the total. Okay, I'm going to write here total COGS per unit and I'm going to calculate my total COGS, that is this into the number of units, that is 50,000 for product 1. So this is the total COGS less the further processing cost, that is given to us as 50, 30, 20 and 0. So 50,000, 30,000, 20,000 and 0, giving us a total of 1 lakh, 50, 30, 20. Just reconfirming. So what I get is net realizable value, that is equal to 38 lakh 50, 18 lakh 30, and this is our total. So this is my net realizable value. On this basis, I will apportion my joint cost. 10 lakhs into 38 lakh 50 divided by 63 lakh 80. So this gives me a total of 10 lakh. This is the joint cost apportionment on the basis of net realizable value. So I hope you have understood all the methods. These are the 5 methods on the basis of which we are going to distribute our cost. If you have any doubts, please do let me know in the comment section. I will love to help you. Also, if you have liked the video, let me know so that we can go ahead with solving one very good question of joint products and byproducts. Also, there is one more method, which is the gross margin contribution method. Do let me know if you want to solve questions on that. There are 2 to 3 times that those questions have come in your CA Inter paper, and that is a bit tricky method. So in case you want to solve it with me, do let me know. Keep watching my videos, liking my videos, sharing my videos, and do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.